very important.
Okay, so I'd like to call the meeting of the Otter Creek CUD Executive Committee. I'd like to call the meeting to order.
Okay. Do you want to start the transcription too? I don't know if that comes in handy.
Yeah, I'd just, if somebody could just press the live transcript at the bottom, would be great. Perfect, thank you.
Okay. So I guess the first order of business is general updates. Review the status of the RFP for the partner and review the status of the RFP for project manager. Okay, so I guess I can start off, and then others can chime in as they see fit, or if they need to add anything to my summaries. The RFP for the partner that closed on May 25th. We have started. There's a small group of folks who have started looking at those. It's the folks who are going through the RFPs have been myself, Bill Moore, Laura from Shrewsbury, and Tim. And we pulled together a sort of bid tabulation that compares the two bids that we received. We received a bid from Otelco, who is doing business as a entity called Go NetSpeed, and their bid is for their own small area. They did not include Castleton, the northern part of Castleton, I guess, which is part of their area, but we've asked them about that. And I guess as part of the clarification and negotiation process, we'll talk to them about including that and revising their proposal. On the consolidated side of the house, they submitted a bid. They actually submitted two options for a bid. The first option was to just their own areas. The second option was the entirety of the CUD. And so, we'll have to, decide whether it's worth trying to do something like that with them. And as we go forward and after we get to the clarifications stage. The other thing that we're working on, I've drafted a I don't want to call it a script, but a series of questions to ask each of the references that Consolidated and Go NetSpeed provided. So I don't know if anybody has any interest in joining on any of those calls, but I haven't set up any of the calls yet. I was just waiting on feedback to see if anybody else had any more feedback on the questions I wanted to ask, but I'm happy to share that with the executive committee and see where we go from there. Any comments, concerns, questions, anything to add from any of the other folks who are looking at the bid documents?
Yeah, Tony, I sent you a couple additional questions for the list of questions to the references. So
okay, when did you send that to me, Tim?
This morning.
Oh, okay. I haven't been. I've been pretty busy today, so I haven't had a chance to go through my emails. I'll take a look at them. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
So I don't know who all wants to be part of those calls, but I was thinking that I would send out emails and initial contacts to the references that they provided, and then see if I can schedule something for maybe next week to have a discussion and just see what their what the references have to say about each of the companies. Okay. if you have any, if you want to join that or have any questions or want to be part of that, or see the list of questions, I'm more than happy to share that with you. Okay. The next is the status of the RFP for project manager. So that closed. We got exactly one bid for that. The only person the only company that bid for it is essentially Amanda O'Connor, who was previously working with us, from the beginning of the CUD until she went on maternity leave. We've got an initial draft agreement for that she's provided. I had some questions and comments I talked to her about over the last couple of days. She just sent a revision to that. Essentially, the agreement is initially a one-year term. It has so the highlights of the agreement, it has a $8,800 a month not to exceed number in terms of the budget. Either party can cancel it with 30 days notice. I'm trying to think what other salient points there are, Tim. It's a fairly standard consultancy agreement. We protect each other unless in the case we get sued, unless somebody's done something illegal or negligent. We protect each other's intellectual property, all that kind of stuff. Pretty standard agreement. I don't know if you have any other feedback, Tim, or comments. Anything I missed?
No, nothing I can think of.
Okay. So I'd like to execute that agreement and get Amanda on board. Bill, looks like
Tony, I guess one thing, did we get feedback on whether we have budget for this to cover it?
So we have, I think, 50. Jackie can jump in. We have, I think, $53,000 in the bank that could be used to fund this. That was one of my concerns, was to make sure that we weren't signing an agreement that was, in excess of what we have in the budget. But with the ability to terminate and with the not to exceed $8,800 a month, I think we have, several months worth of runway. And, one of the first orders of business for the project management position is to help us with the grant applications for the pre-construction grants and, get going on that.
Yeah.
So I think we're okay from that perspective, Tim.
Okay. It's good.
I don't know whether I missed it or not, but I don't recall seeing a job description for the project manager. Do we have one?
So there was an RFP that was issued, John, and that's what Amanda responded to. And I think the job description, the general description of what we want that person to do is in the RFP.
Okay.
John, that RFP is on the website under, I think it's under the About RFPs.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, Bill, if you had any comments when you look like you were getting ready to talk when I said I'd want to be in a position to execute that agreement in the next day or two. So did we lose Bill? Is Bill still on mute? Can't hear Bill. Still cannot hear Bill.
I see Bill.
I can see Bill. I can see his lips moving. No.
Check 1, 2. Hello.
Got, there you go. Can hear you now, Bill. Oh, maybe not anymore.
And we heard you about 10 seconds ago, whatever you were doing. Not a good day for technology, is it?
It looks like Bill made a motion in the chat to approve executing the contract with Amanda.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. So there's a motion on the table to allow me to execute the agreement for project manager with Amanda O'Connor Consulting. All those in favor signify by saying aye or give me a thumbs up, please.
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Yeah, aye.
Did I hear somebody say they were opposed?
Yeah, aye.
John Hill.
John, you're opposed to it?
Correct.
Okay. Can we have some discussion?
Well, we've already voted, but yeah, I think this has become a pretty classic government fat hog, where people want to get on the gravy train and make a quick buck, and I think $108,000 a year for a project manager is a ridiculous amount of money.
Let me ask the question this way. This is a full-time position. If it's a full-time position, it's low pay. But if it's like 10 hours a week, well, yes, then it would be a lot of money.
No, it's I think it's a 20-hour a week is what the contract calls for.
Yeah. So it's half-time. So
At an hourly rate, right? It's at $110 an hour.
Yeah.
oh, so it's at that, yeah, I think $110 an hour for this kind of work is very, very reasonable.
With no benefits.
Correct. It's just $110 an hour for somebody's expertise. Yeah, I don't see that as over the top.
I didn't think so. We did a little research on that and thought it was, she was asking for 125 and we agreed on 110 to start.
We regularly pay $200 an hour for technical expertise with no ties. So
she's plugged in and can hit the road run, the road running already. She knows this better than most of us. So
I was going to say that before. Amanda's like highly, highly qualified. This is what she did. So I think we're very fortunate to have her, to be honest with you.
Okay.
That's not just a regular straight monthly bill. It's billed per hours worked, correct? Or are we like a flat monthly rate?
No, it's $110 per hour with a not to exceed $8,800 a month.
Okay.
And obviously, right, if we don't want her to do 20 hours of work a week, then we don't have to have her do that. So I'm not sure if that allays your concerns, John, or if you want to have some more discussion. I mean, I think the motion carried, but I want to make sure that we're addressing any concerns you might have.
We've already voted, and from the ayes, it sounds like the ayes have the motion. So the discussion should have been before the vote. We voted, and I made my vote known, and everyone else did. So let's move on.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Next would be BCCB updates. Van, do you want to give us a quick update on the latest and greatest from those guys? And then I guess we can also have Larry give us some updates as well.
I don't have any update about BCBB. Larry's been attending those mostly. I will say that the rest of our dues are coming up in another month, I think. I think that was 75% of the $9,000 or something like that. So that was, at one point we had entertained not being a member. I don't know where that stands now, but that's all I'd have to say on it. Larry on?
Yeah, we didn't have a VCUDA meeting. I don't know what happened with Will Anderson being gone. No links came through. I sent an email to the chair, asking what happened or where the link was, and never got a response. So there was no update. And that's where I get my VCBB information during that meeting. So, and I haven't heard anything since, so I don't know what's going on. A couple of things, and if you saw in today's, for those that read the Rutland Herald, the editorial, there were some quotes from Christine Hallquist from the VCBB. It was an interview with Vermont Digger. Said it would probably cost the state more than $1 billion to connect every home to fiber. And Vermont received some $350 million in pandemic relief funding to facilitate cable installation, among other technology. Still going on with quotes, the fiber cable is in short supply across the United States. And she estimated it would cost $550 million to connect every Vermont home without a reliable high-speed connection to fiber optic service. And she expects costs to rise. And the Herald just goes on with all the other success going on around the country, hoping that the kinks will get out, supply chains will improve, and the costs will come down. So, but the whole editorial is called The Last Mile, basically in 100% support of getting affordable fiber optic to every premise in Vermont. And again, I don't know what's going on with VCUDA, just no communications at all. So waiting to see.
And the only other information I've got is we had a short meeting with Rob Fish yesterday. It looks like Go NetSpeed / Hotelco has they've obviously made a proposal for their area, their towns in our area. They're also made a proposal for their towns in the Maple broadband area. So that's just north of us, basically. And the proposals from my brief discussions with Maple broadbands are very similar in terms of like how much money They want to fund basically 50% of the cost of the network, and that's what essentially GoNetspeed ponied up for us. So one of the issues with that for Maple Broadband is that it kind of messes up their business case a bit, as I understand it. If GoNetspeed were to build out that area, that's a big chunk of their customers, as I understand it. So, one of the possible outcomes of this might be that those towns that Otelco has would potentially want to join with us, because we'll be doing basically the same kind of thing. Anyway, I'm not sure that will ever happen, but that's something that we've chatted about quickly this week.
What about joining Maple Broadband as opposed to Otter Creek?
No, I think that is a possibility that the towns in our area that are Otelco could go with Maple Broadband, but that would require some kind of rejiggering of the two CUDs to make that happen, right?
Either way, right?
Yeah, I think it's hard to know without being like intimately familiar with Maple Broadband's sort of business model, but it seems like their whole business case is in jeopardy. That's kind of my interpretation of reading between the lines, because it sounds like that the Otelco towns in their area are very, very underserved, and that would be a lot of their potential customers that Otelco would get, and it might make their business case much less attractive, I guess. So that's all I've got for that. Any comments or questions or concerns? Okay. Number 4, the grant discussion. Van, do you have any updates or anything you want to share?
Not much there. This grant has an end date of the end of this month. Today, we sent off a request to get an extension for 2 months, saying that it would give our project manager time to apply for the H360 grant and roll any expenses out of this grant into that. So we'll wait to see. Hopefully we get that. Elsewise, I don't know how it works, but we've still got money from that, right, Jackie? That's the one we did. We got the 63,000, I think, at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Yep.
And so we are living on that month to month. That is our income, our sole income. So getting the grant H360 in place and an extension on this are pretty critical to us.
We had a quick conversation. The only other bit is we had a quick conversation with Rob Fish about the extension, and he didn't see any problem with it. So that's why we're pretty confident it should go ahead.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments or thoughts on these 2 grants? I mean, next steps really is to get this pre-construction grant written and submitted. And that's that'll cover the project management stuff, and then any negotiations or anything that we need to do on on the front end before we enter into any kind of agreement with any of our potential partners. Okay. Number 5, financials and the warrant.
So the warrant is nice and small, which is lovely. So it's just the 2 invoices from Google for May and the invoice from Seward and Associates for May. So the total is $719.01. We also did have a invoice come in from Primer Piper and Eggleston. That was covered by our retainer. So our new balance for our retainer is $4,880.
Okay. So let's see this. Do I have? Can you folks see my? Can you folks see the?
Yep.
Yep. Yes.
Warrant? Okay, hang on. Sorry. Any questions or discussion about the warrant before we call for a vote? Okay, can we get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the warrant dated June 8th, 2022 in the amount of $719.01.
I'll second.
Thanks, Larry and John. All those in favor of approving the warrant?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Oh, okay, the ayes have it. The warrant's approved. Thank you, Jackie. Let me see if I can pull up just the financials. I don't see the. All I see is the warrant. I don't see any update to the financials. Is that? Do we have one of those or?
We do not have any update to the financials. So
Okay.
as soon as I get it, I'll send it to you.
Okay. We'll have it before the board meeting next week, right?
Yeah, I should have that before next week.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Thank you. Number 6, any other business? Okay, I guess no other business. Next meeting date.
That would be July 13th, second Wednesday.
Okay, July 13th. Does that work for folks still? Second Wednesday?
Yep.
To be okay.
All right, so our next meeting will be 13th of July at 5 p.m. And then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Thanks, Chris.
I will second that motion.
Thanks, Jackie. All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Yep. Don't forget to terminate the recording and stuff, and
Okay.
that'll be good.
So stop recording, right? Not pause.
Yeah, you could say stop.
Okay, stop.